My name is Jpeace. This is the Week 2 informative speech. Here's my audience. And my best friend, James. My topic for this week's speech is a brief history into drag racing and the NHRA. The reason why I chose this topic was because I have always been interested in drag racing, especially the NHRA, since I was a licensed driver, and then slightly before that as well. Brief history into drag racing: Wally Parks invented and founded the NHRA in Little Rock, Arkansas. A lot of people don't know that fact. It is now located in Pomona, California, where the Wally Parks Foundation Museum is held at. And if you haven't seen it, you should see it. It's very cool. There have been many famous NHRA drivers: Tony Schumacher, Larry Dixon, but none compared to John Force, who is a 16-time funny car world champion and the winningest driver in all of driving history, with 149 title wins under his belt. You can't really talk about drag racing without talking about its effect on popular culture. Steve McQueen, all the way to recently with Vin Diesel and Paul Walker in the Fast and the Furious series, there have been multiple resurgences of interest in the sport based on the popular culture. Another pop culture influence on drag racing today is in my native backyard here in Oklahoma City, and that is the show Street Outlaws. They stage fake street drag races that appear to be illegal, but they have all their permits and they have everything that they need from the cities that they visit, so it's really not illegal, but it's designed to look that way. There's been a lot of controversy against movies like The Fast and the Furious and Street Outlaws. The primary backlash has been against professional drivers and the NHRA organization and the organization itself, against the image that the Street Outlaws here in Oklahoma City are putting out for the world to see. The entire purpose that Wally Parks invented and founded the NHRA was specifically to get kids off the streets, to give them a safe place to express their need for speed, and give them a safe environment, or as safe as can be possible, for them to test the limits of their hot rods. These guys were kind of a slap in the face to Wally and his organization. Everything that he stood for, they tried to make cool by showing it on TV. And it was the same thing for the Fast and the Furious as well. There was a huge backlash against illegal street racing and a huge push to get kids off the streets in their cars and onto tracks also in their cars. So, for drag racing as a sport, these shows, even though there have been a lot of controversy, are still really important for the sport itself, because every time one of these movies or pop culture phenomenons hit and drag racing is the focus, Bullet and Gone in 60 Seconds and again Street Outlaws and the Fast and the Furious, every time one of these things become very popular, there's a resurgence of kids who are wanting to get out there, drive their cars as fast as they want. And that's what the NHRA is for. It's to give them that safe environment to continue forward. There have been some really funny quotes that these drivers have been known for. Richard Petty was quoted as saying, "You know when the first drag race took place, right? The day they finished building the second car." Which makes a lot of sense, because how do you know which one's better, right? Nobody can really state, by the way, why drag racing is called drag racing. There have been a couple different veins of thought out there. One of them is that drag racing is pushing a giant block from 0 to 150 miles an hour in the space of a quarter mile, and it has the aerodynamics of a brick. That causes a lot of drag coefficient, which would slow the car down and you power through it. That's one thing. Another funny quote: racing makes heroin addiction look like a vague wish for something salty. Which is really funny. That was Peter Egan. Another one: racing top fuel is for people who love to work really hard and also hate money. Skilled drivers skilled drivers are not necessary with big engines, Enzo Ferrari. He then replied to himself and said, but aerodynamics are for people who don't know how to build engines. So I hope that you guys enjoyed my speech, brief history into the NHRA and drag racing. I hope that this was informative, and I will show you everybody's still here. And that's it. Thank you.